Say again? Sure, yeah. Doing mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me know when to stop. Okie dokie. Is it charged? طب شغله. So you can follow along. الله ينور عليك. Say that one more time.
We're very early, so we had set to 12:45. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So.
I thought it was 12:30. My bad.
Yeah, I think there was some confusion. We had made a.
No, it's fine.
It did show us 30.
No wonder no one is showing up as much as I thought.
Oh, okay.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, we can bring Lawrence.
Assalamu alaikum. Fadl. How are you? Good to see you. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum. I'm glad you're able to make it. Thank you. Have a seat. Assalamu alaikum. نعم والله ممكن.
لا الظهر 2 we break 2
At 2 o'clock?
كلنا.
Okay. Maybe we can take a break and then come back at that time. That's fine.
2
We might be done by 2. We'll see. Depending on the interaction. Assalamu alaikum. No, that's fine too. This whole back row. She's fine. She's fine.
كيف حالك؟
والله الحمد لله. طمني عنك.
اشوفك اليوم.
ان شاء الله. والله انا جيت ادور عليك امبارح ما لقيتك. دخلت جوا. You were gone.
انا ما شفتك عشان اروح
It's
دور.
okay. ما في نصيب. اليوم ان شاء
اليوم
الله.
نجي نسجل.
ان شاء الله. ولا يهمك.
صاحبك قال بيتصل بكره.
لا انا قلت له تعال اليوم.
خليه يجي اليوم.
قلت له تعال اليوم عشان تحكي معه وتشوفه. اذا ما صار نصيب وما قدر يجي بكلمك بكره ان شاء الله.
انت ساكن في كنتاكي؟
هو على ما اعتقد انا
وين؟
على بك وورن.
على باك وين؟
بك وورن.
يعني
يعني قريب من يا اكزاكتلي.
انت من فين؟ احنا من اليمن.
من اليمن. انتوا احسن ناس.
وانت منين؟
فلسطين.
حياك الله.
تسلم يا رب. بارك الله فيكم. حياك الله. All right. Well, I'm glad you got your PC, your computer. You're going to need your devices. You guys get your devices? You're going to use it on your phone? You could do it on your phone too. No big deal. As long as you can access any sort of large language model, you should be fine. Question. The camera is fixed, right?
Yes,
It doesn't follow the talker in any shape.
It does, but then we start having a little bit of issue.
Okay.
So we're just gonna leave it as is. Do you
Okay.
want me to zoom out a bit?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
Zoom out so that
No, I tend to walk when I talk, but
Okay.
that's fine.
I'll kind of keep it high.
That's okay.
if you want to.
No,
Okay.
that's fine. That's fine. I'll just stay where I'm put, where I need to be.
So do you guys want to pray first? If we're gonna start at 12:45.
Okay.
You want to pray first?
You wanna do that first then?
Yeah. I mean, we still have 15 minutes.
Okay.
So I put that in WhatsApp group that we're starting at 12:45.
Okay, then let's do the prayer first. That way we're not rushed.
I gotta get this perfect.
Try this one. That wasn't working yesterday.
Right here.
Jazakallah.
I think it's in there.
Nope, that's okay. Life goes on. Assalamu alaikum, Bilal. How are you? Sorry, they had no way to. Hi. How are you? I'm glad you're able to make it. We're going to pray the Dhuhr, and then we're going to go to the Medina Lab, inshallah.
You remember me? You remember me? Do you know Rashid?
Yes.
I'm his brother.
Oh.
Remember it?
Allah.
الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
لا لا حج. Guest of honor.
Spirit and divine. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Awesome, good to see you. How are you? Mahmoud, how are you? Thanks for making it. Layla, how are you? تجي تصلي بحكي مع آدم ليه ما نتصلي no no all right so apparently the meeting got pushed to 12:45 and they got out the notice earlier today so we're just going to wait a couple more minutes so that people who just got the notice and then we'll start inshallah أهلا وسهلا all right hey glad you were able to make it come on in
If everyone could just move to the right, so that way other people can just come in, they don't jump over.
سلايد في الشات في
حط
الواتساب.
الإيش
السلايد في الواتساب عشان نتابع معك.
they have it on YouTube
لا لا سلايد.
later on inshallah yeah later on inshallah I'll make it available for download inshallah all right so today's session is going to be somewhat interactive. So if you don't have your laptop, make sure your device is with you, your phone, your pad, your iPad, your tablet, whatever it is. At some points, I'm going to ask you to kind of join along and practice the stuff we're talking about just so you can get in the habit of doing it. So we're going to go ahead and start off. First of all, thank you so much for making it today. I'm pretty excited to be sharing this information with you guys. I've been working for this stuff for a very long time. And I see interest from adults, not so much from the young folks. And so I'm trying to close the gap between the old and the young to make sure everybody gets a chance to do and play with these GPT models. So today we're going to be talking about prompt principles for productive AI session. What that means is I am going to try to help you decipher AI language so you're able to talk to it and get the results that you need from it and not use it like Google search where you just put in something in there and hopefully you'll get a hit. So let me tell you a bit about myself first. My name is Abdullah Dooley. I'm also known as AB in the world of work. I'm the founder and chief innovation officer at Made by AB. This is a venture where, it's a venture lab where we work on the intersection between AI, education, workflow automation, and trying to make humans superhumans. A little bit about me. I work extensively with AI and trying to help entrepreneurs to become super entrepreneurs, leveraging AI and what it can do. I also happen to be a PhD candidate in industrial engineering at Wayne State University because at 50 years old, why not, right? I use AI on a daily basis. I do everything using AI. And I also happen to be a tech geek. I like playing video games. Anybody play Arma 3 by any chance? No? Okay, well, if you're interested to be a soldier, we're looking for a good few ones. So let's demystify artificial intelligence a little bit. The name is somewhat as a misnomer. Everybody uses AI as a catch-all phrase, right? But in reality, AI actually breaks into like 10 different things. As you can see here, we've got machine learning, we've got neural networks, fuzzy logic, cognitive computing. This is what I work with at my dissertation. Robotics, computer vision, and so on. What we're focused on, in particular, when it comes to artificial intelligence, is machine learning. If you think of this as the Russian dolls, you know, when you have a big doll, you open it, there's another doll in it, and you take it out, and so on. So this is the same idea. You have the big parent doll as the artificial intelligence. Inside it, you have machine learning. Inside that, you've got deep learning. And then inside that, you've got natural language processing and generative AI. Okay? So what we're looking to work with today is the generative AI. That's going to be our focus today. Traditionally, there's two types of uses of AI. There's the traditional AI, which is focused on analyzing data and analyzing information. And then there's generative AI, where it's actually creating new information. So as an example, when you go on Netflix, and Netflix gives you an example, are you going to enjoy this movie based on what you watched before? That's traditional AI. It kind of analyzes past history, past data, and tries to predict what you might like. Okay? Generative AI, on the other hand, takes that data and generates something completely new. It might write a new scene for that movie. It might write a poem on that movie. Something completely different from what the data it actually received. Okay? I'm sure you've heard the term GPT, right? Like ChatGPT. GPT, right? It stands for generative, I have it in here, generative pre-trained transformer. So what does that mean? It means it generates data based on pre-training that it receives and transforms it into new information. And that's what it means, GPT. We use AI on a daily basis. You use it on your phone, you use it on your computer, you use it on your Alexa, and so on. Anytime your phone autocorrects when you write, that's a small GPT model that tries to predict what the next word is going to be. When you're writing email in Google and it finishes your sentence, that's AI in action. It's a smaller, not as powerful as GPT, like OpenAI or Claude or anything like that. But that's AI at work. If you're using social media apps like Instagram or something to that effect, and it gives you those little cute filters on your face and changes the background and all that, that's all AI in action. So we're all familiar with it, but in different forms than how the GPTs are presenting it to you. So why is this important, right? Why do we want to learn how to speak with AI? Because it's becoming part of your daily life. Everything you do is turned into AI. As I said, autocorrect on your phone, recommendations on your Netflix channel, spam filters, navigation on your GPS. So learning the secret language, how to speak with AI, is going to be the norm. That's going to be like everyday thing that you're going to have to practice and have to understand how to work with it. So what are we going to be learning today? I'm going to be focusing on 4 things. First and foremost, we're going to cover the 6 core principles of prompting. Every single time you sit down and you want to talk to your AI assistant, you want to make sure you hit these 6 core principles. We're going to also talk about practical use cases for your daily life. We're going to talk about advanced techniques when it comes to prompting, but we're going to try to make it simple so that you can use it on a daily basis. And I'm going to share with you some tools that you can use to make your life easier. Let's demystify how GPT works a little bit before we get in. And you don't have to have a computer science degree to understand this. Don't let the graph there scare you. Essentially, what the large language models do is they get trained on so much information, and then they're really good at detecting patterns and running statistics on these patterns. It tries to predict. So if you say something based on its knowledge, it's going to try to predict, based on these patterns, what the response that I should make be. What the first word should be, what the next word should be, what the third word should be, and then before you know it, you've got a whole sentence being presented in front of you, okay? And so think of it as your autocorrect on steroids, okay? It's a little bit larger language model, it's a little bit more powerful. It can do these runs and all these different permutations from one node to another much faster and much quicker. So that's basically what these large language models do. They don't think, even though they're very good at making you think that they think. They don't think, they just run statistics, which means it's even that more important to tell it exactly what you need, because once you set the pattern, it latches on that pattern, and then all its production is going to be based on that pattern that you set, okay? So the first thing, the first principle you should be aware of is be specific and detailed, as I mentioned earlier. Don't tell it, write me an email. Be a little bit more specific. Tell it, write me a 100-word email that is professional and polite that I can send to my boss telling him I'm quitting tomorrow because I'm starting my own business. Very specific, okay? Or congratulating them for the new baby they just got, or whatever the case may be. So your prompt is telling them what you want, how you want it, who is directed towards, and how you want it to be fed back to you, how you want the response to be brought back to you. Also, you want to provide context. Why is it doing what it's doing? Okay? So you want to tell it, I want you today to act like my project management professional coach, or I want you to be my soccer coach today, or I want you to be my lawyer, although I don't recommend taking recommendations from ChatGPT on that, but let's say you're brainstorming. Tell it what hat you want it to wear. Again, the reason is this thing has massive amount of information stored in it, right? You give it general, it'll give you general. You give it specific, it's going to give you specific. So when you tell it, I want you to wear this hat, you're telling it, I want you to filter everything else out and just focus on this particular context that I want you to work on. That way, it's much faster and it gives you much better results of what you're trying to do. Also, give it examples. Let's say you like a particular tweet. What would they call them today? X? What do they call them? I don't even know. A particular tweet, you like how it's written, or you have some kind of ad copy that you think was really effective in another campaign and you want to copy it or want to create something like it. Give it the example. Tell it, I want you to write me a newsletter. Like, first you tell it, today you're going to be my marketing agent, 30-year experience marketing agent. I want you to write me a copy, send a newsletter regarding this particular topic. And I want you to use this many words, and here's an example of what I want you to look like. You've really narrowed it down now. You made its life so much easier for it to be more productive. You've heard the term garbage in, garbage out, right? Well, that's here, garbage prompt in, garbage results out. Same idea. And these are some examples to kind of show you the variability that you can get. A pretty, broad, to some degree, prompt, create an illustration of a baby daikon, whatever that is, radish in a tutu walking a dog. So you can see the high principle is there. It's got the radish, it's got the tutu, it's got the dog, but it's slight variation of what that image looks like. Similarly, create an armchair image in the shape of an avocado. Still pretty broad. But, it kind of gave you a general idea of what it looks like. The last one is my favorite. A storefront that has the word OpenAI written on it. It's pretty cool, huh? Right. The fourth principle is experiment and iterate. What does that mean? That means that you're not going to get your prompt right the first time. You're going to have to go back and tweak it. Believe it or not, one word can make a difference in your prompt, and you're going to have to experiment. The good news is, as you find good prompts, you save it. So you start creating your prompt library. So next time you want to create the same task or you want to do the same task, now you have a prompt that you know it works. And I attest to that. I've gone through many, many iterations of prompts just to get exactly what I need. So that's important. Don't think that the first shot is going to be the right one. You just keep changing it and making it tighter. And then the other one is, which is pretty cool actually, ask the AI to tell you how it's thinking. Tell it, walk me through it step by step. Don't just blabber the answer at me, right? Tell it that I want you to, it's called chain of thought. That's the technique, it's called chain of thought. So tell it, explicitly ask it, generate this for me, and as you're doing this for me, show me how are you thinking through this task. And this is helpful in many, many ways. One, you can catch a mistake while the AI is thinking, and you can correct it. And there could be one way for you to fix the prompt, okay? How many of you used the deep thinking models like DeepSeek R1 or you have? Okay. And during your experience, did you notice how it's writing down its thoughts and how it's going to do it? What do you think about that? Did it help you in any shape or form?
Yes,
In what way did it help you?
because I understand how did they get to the answer.
Exactly. And so not only does it help the model to walk through step by step what it's thinking and allows you the opportunity to catch if it's making any mistake, but it also allows you to learn how the model thinks. So next time you're preemptively telling it what to do in the prompt. Make sense? And then the last one is a big one. Know the limitations of the model you're working with. All right? These LLMs are not oracles. They don't know everything and they don't know everything. They have a cutoff date on their limit, on the knowledge that they know. Sometimes it could be 6 months prior, could be a year prior. One of the biggest one I see when I deal with these models, Meta came out with the new Llama 4, Maverick and Scout, I think they're called. If you ask the ChatGPT models now, they have no clue that Llama 4 was actually released. It doesn't know because it's not part of its training. So you have to give it a link and say, yeah, it's released here, go read this, and it updates its information. So always be careful about that. The other thing is that there's bias in the model's training, okay? And so imagine this for a moment. The information it captured is mainly on the internet and every single book in the library. Now, every single book in the library may be dominated by certain ideology, certain literature, certain thoughts that may not be representing a different part of the world or a different population that we have. And so it might be biased. So you have to be careful when you're dealing with that. And as a human in control, you double check the work that you're getting based on your knowledge. And if you're not sure and something sounds sketchy, challenge it. Challenge the model. Tell it, I don't believe you. I need you to convince me this is true. Go do your research and come back and convince me that it's true. And it'll actually do that. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, in what you just said, because you're talking about it's built off of whatever books or library
Yeah.
it's using. Is it only pulling from English resources? I guess if it's not
No.
pulling from Chinese or Farsi or
Yeah.
different language, or is it actually incorporating?
Now, my understanding is these are multilingual, multimodal. And so they study on text, they study on images, they study on videos, they study on everything on a broad spectrum. So think of it this way. Everything on the internet is in them.
Even if it's different languages.
Everything on the internet is in them. As a matter of fact, one of the challenge switching from ChatGPT 4 to ChatGPT 5 is that they didn't have enough information. They already did most of everything. So they had to find something new to give the model to learn on.
So in that sense, you could actually ask it to maybe, like when you're saying
Mhm.
stuff, you could say, okay, remove the European view of
Yeah.
this particular topic.
100%.
Add this particular
Yes, that's part of the context. You can tell it, you're my expert on Mesopotamian history, hypothetically speaking, and I want you to look at it from the perspective of the Middle East, not perspective of Western civilization or something like that, or whatever, Native American. Yes.
So you can actually have it
Yes.
speak like almost like a debate between.
Sure. Actually, ChatGPT models are fantastic for that. I use it like that all the time. Ideation through working with LLM is my best friend. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but my model knows me better than my wife does. So, yeah, we'll keep that in this room. Yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The concept of the key in ChatGPT, the
Transformer. Yeah.
yeah. What does that do? What's the function of that? How does it help develop learnings and stuff like that?
That's the part that transforms the knowledge that it has based on statistics and pattern detection into the answer you get. That's what it does in layman's terms.
So it's a code, right?
Yeah, the whole thing is a code. But the language, when you transform something in coding, it means you're changing its state from one thing into another. And so you're changing the state of the information that you have, that already exists, into something new. You're creating something new. That's the generative part, okay? And so you give it A, you give it B, and it comes up with C by transforming A and B. You see how that works? So this is the fun part where you get to use your devices. I'm going to go through some use cases, and as I go, make notes, or you can actually practice as I go some of these everyday cases that you can use these AI. And you can use whatever model you like. You can use ChatGPT, you can use Gemini, you can use Claude, whatever you like, doesn't matter. So professional emails, that's a good one. I mentioned a little bit earlier about that, where you give it the bullet points of what you want to talk about, the specifics that you want to talk about, the tone that you want to write it in, and it's going to write it for you. It's going to write a draft. Now, as any sane human being would do, you would not copy and paste and just send it. You would fix it a little bit, tweak it, make it sound like yourself, and then you send it. But it took like 80% of the effort away from you, right? We all like to sit down and write, okay? As a matter of fact, when WhatsApp first came out, right? And we used to call people to give them greetings on different occasions and different Eid and events and things like that, right? What happened after that? No one calls anymore. Everybody sends WhatsApp, right? Everybody sends images and like happy this and happy that, happy new year, right? So it's the same idea. This took away the effort of trying to pick up the phone and call and talk and all that by having it create the draft for you, and you just tweak it and then send it through, okay? So on your devices, you can obviously try to generate email pertaining to your own business, to your own venture, to your own work, and so on. Personal documents, that's another good one. I use this heavily, not only in personal documents, but also in my dissertation. I create the experiment, I run the data, I have the results, I analyze the results, and I run it through the model, and I say, Mr. Model, here's the data, here's how I'm interpreting it. Do you see any gaps in my logic? Do you see any mistakes in my trail of thought, for example? And it'll do that for me. It'll tell me, these numbers don't add up, you're jumping to conclusion, or whatever the case may be, okay? Or writing just a newsletter or a sales copy of some sort. Social media posts, that's another big one. A lot of companies are moving to automating posting on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on, having AI generate the copy for them. I've worked with companies actually that want to automate this as part of their marketing, and it works really well. Another good one is difficult conversations, and I've used that too, where you want to say something to someone without sounding harsh or without sounding mean. You want to make it, for lack of a better term, politically correct or whatever the case may be. You can run it by them. You can say, here's the situation, obviously given context, so it's not writing out of nowhere. Here's the context, here are the people involved, here's what happened, here's what I want to say. Make me sound smart. Or make it sound like this. Or I want you to, and then it gives you something, and you go back, no, 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 this is too harsh, soften it, or I want to focus on this point instead of this point. And so think of it as your secretary, okay? As your admin, where you're dictating what you want him or her to write, or them, and they're doing the work for you, okay? Another use case is explaining topics. These large language models, because they know so much, they are very good tutors on complex subject, right? Claude, I need you to explain to me time dilation. I'm having a bit of a hard time understanding that. Break it down to me like a 10-year-old. They'll do that. Or I don't understand how cryptocurrency works. What is blockchain? I have no idea. Can you explain it to me? Okay? Or I'm having a hard time in my biology class. I don't understand the Krebs cycle. Can you explain it to me? And it will do that, whatever it may be. It's very good at doing that. It's also good at learning new skills. You want to practice Japanese? Check. You want to practice Spanish? Check. You want to practice Farsi? Check. Arabic? Check. Russian? Doesn't matter. You want to learn how to do Punnett squares in biology? Sure, genetics. You could do that, no problem. You want to understand how to do matrices in calculus or algebra, whatever the case may be. It will show you how to do that. Language, that's we talked about earlier. And then understanding the news. Mr. Large Language Model, I'm having a hard time understanding why there never can be peace in the Middle East. Can you explain that to me? Or something to that effect. Why, the war between North Korea and South Korea? Or what does this bill mean? Like, we just voted on this. What is it exactly? I have no idea. Planning and organization. You want to travel for 5 days? Guess what? You can plan the whole thing on ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is it may be. You can tell it, be specific. I'm traveling for a week. I am going to Japan. I want you to write me an itinerary of different places I can visit, places that can serve halal food, and that are cost effective or cost sensitive. Can't cost more than that, whatever it is, right? Bam, let it loose. It will go do the thing for you and come back and give you all the information you need. And then you can tweak it from there. Event planning. I want to plan a wedding. I want to plan a surprise party. I want to do engagement, whatever the case may be. It will plan it for you. You tell it what your budget is, how many people you want to bring in, what sort of setting you're looking for. Bam. You got something to work with. Career. That's a good one. I actually used this recently, where there's a job that you like and you want to apply for, and you ask it, okay, here's my resume. Here's the job. I have an interview Monday. Prepare me for it. It'll ask you. It'll prepare you. And then based on your answers, it's going to tweak it and tell you, no, 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 no. Don't say it this way. Say it this way. Because when they're asking you this question, they're focusing on this particular topic. They want to see if you have that skill set or if you understand. So it's going to coach you through it. Salary negotiations. That's how much they're offering. Based on my skill set, do you think this is market fair value? It'll tell you. All right? How do I negotiate a higher salary? It's going to coach you. Oh, no, don't go straight up and say, I want this much. No, give them value in return. Tell them, based on this, because of this, and my skill set, and what you need, I think we can negotiate blah, blah, blah. It will do that for you. Home projects. You want to renovate your bathroom, renovate your kitchen. You want to create a budget so you can track what you're working on. It will do that for you. And so, as you could see, it's pretty versatile what you can do with these models. And my favorite case study is this, problem solving, right? I work, at Made by AB, no crazy idea is pushed away. I work with crazy ideas all the time. And so I find every idea that someone comes and talks to me, hey, why don't we do this? I'll be like, this is quite interesting. Let's figure out how we're going to do that. And so I sit with ChatGPT and we create ideas. Here's what I want to do. Here are the challenges we're facing. I don't want you to reiterate the fact, the obvious, that these are challenges. I want you to work with me and tell me how can we address these challenges to get to where we want to go. It can help you doing decisions through the problem. It will give you options. It will give you the pros and cons of each and how to come to a decision. So you're informed when you're making that decision. It's going to do financial planning for you if you're trying to design a marketing budget or you're trying to build a house or you're trying anything that involves finance. And conflict resolution. That's a good one too. Whether that conflict is between you and someone else or between two other people in your department or even your kids, you know, it will guide you. It will, think of it this way. You have an expert on your phone. An expert that knows a whole lot more and can do a whole lot more than you can. Why not use it, right? You want a marketing expert? You got it. You want a legal expert? You got it. You want a financial expert? You got it. In terms of knowledge, right? You still need to take that information and verify it with someone who practices this stuff, right? Because these models don't have all the context they need to give you the advice unless you tell them. They just tell you on what they know. And if they're outdated information, new laws that came out, they're going to give you outdated information, right? So never take the information you get from them for granted. Always verify, specifically if it involves money, it involves people, it involves medical, it involves legal, all that stuff. Make sure you follow up with the expert that this is correct and can I use this? But generally speaking, on a general sense, it will help you. And when it comes to ideation, it's fantastic for doing that. Okay, so let's talk about some of the advanced techniques that we mentioned earlier. The first one is called chain of thought. And as I mentioned, this is asking the model to think out loud as you're using it, to show you step by step what it's doing. Alternatively, you can tell it how you want it to think. Okay? So you tell it, you know, here's the topic, here's the context, and here's how I want you to think through it. First, I need you to do this. Second, I need you to do this. Third, I need you to do this. You're telling it how to think. You're guiding it through its process. So that is always better than just saying, I need this, or explain to me this. Okay? So think of it that without a step-by-step, it's a binary option. It either gives you what you want or it doesn't give you what you want. It's yes or no. But when you're giving it the details, you're asking it to tell you how it's thinking. Now, some models will give you that by default. You can see it thinking through it. How many use ChatGPT 5? ChatGPT 5. Are you using the free version or the paid version? Yeah, so if you use the paid version, there are three options. There's the fast option, the think option, and the auto option, right? If you switch it to the think option and you give it the task, it's going to give you a little prompt that says thinking, right? If you press on that, it's going to open up and it's going to show you, oh, the user is asking me to do this. Then first I need to do that, and then I'm going to do this. So it's telling you exactly how it's going through the thinking process on how to get this stuff that you're asking it to do. So that is super duper nice and super duper important. And asking it to give you a reason activates certain logical pathways within the model itself that makes it that more effective in what it's trying to do. Any questions so far? No? I'm doing such a good job? All right. Okay. Another one is called a few-shot learning. That's a fancy name for saying, give it an example. Okay? If you give the model an example of how you want it to give you the answer back, that makes it even more powerful. Now imagine this, combining the two, combining that chain of thought with the few-shot learning as part of your prompt. That makes it even that more powerful. And these things work it's like synergistic effect. It's not an additive effect, which means when each one alone will give you a certain value. When you put them together, it's not the addition of them, the value. It's actually more exponential. It's like much bigger. You get better results and more results using both of them, okay? And so you tell it, here's what I want. here's the context, here's the data, here's one example, here's another example, use those as part of, and show me how you're thinking, that would be much more powerful. So whenever you're looking for consistency of format or consistency and output, you give it examples. That's the best way to do it. Okay? And how many heard the word hallucination? You know what hallucination is? Everybody knows. So hallucination is when the model will confidently lie to you and say, this is it. And you know 100% it's not true because you're a human and you can tell, right? And so to avoid hallucination, one of the ways to avoid hallucination is using chain of thought and the few-shot learning to give it an example so that you get the information that you need. Not 100%, but it helps.
So going back to that, so the prompts that you're using there on the one example article key form, are those also kind of standardized format for
How you want it.
how we?
Yes. Yes, exactly. The more context, the more details you give it, it will make your output that much better. Now, I fell in this trap before. These models are so good in making you think you're talking to a human that sometimes you just talk back to it completely not thinking that you need to give it a little more details, right? And all of a sudden you start getting deviation and drift from what your original goal was because you weren't diligent in making sure that your prompts have the information it needs to keep going. Okay? So task drifting, that's something that happens. And also, here's a little bit tidbit for you. The longer you work on a task, believe it or not, the less effective the model gets because of the context window. Do you guys know what a context window is? Now, Socrates' method of asking questions. So the context window, think of it as the short-term memory of the model. Everything you work with it within that period of time is saved in its memory. As soon as it comes larger than that model, because it's a window that shifts, so anything that came before is out of frame. It doesn't know it, it doesn't remember it, okay? And so as you interact with it, that window keeps shifting, keeps shifting. So you think, at the beginning, the first prompt you started, you gave it information, you gave it context, whatever the case may be, it's not gonna remember it. It's gonna act like brand new, it doesn't have any idea what you're working on, okay? So how do you combat that? Very simple. Every little bit, ask it to summarize what you just worked on, okay? So if you haven't already, download a tool, I think it's a Chrome extension, that counts how many tokens you're using with the model. It's free. You can just search for like Claude token counter or GPT counter, and it will tell you. And as soon as you hit 24,000 tokens, now they tell you their memory is 128,000 or a million or whatever the case may be, BS. As soon as you hit 24,000, 30,000 tokens, ask for a summary. Summarize what we just talked about. Now that summary becomes part of the new context window that you're working with. And it's going to remember everything that you worked before. Or you can start a new chat thread with that summary. What I do is I tell it, okay, now we're done with this. Give me a prompt to start a next conversation with enough context for us to continue this discussion. And it will do that for me. It will put everything it needs. And if I think it missed something, like a file reference or some other information, I'll say redo it, add this in it, and then give it to me. And it gives it to me. I use that prompt in a new conversation, and it's like nothing happened. We just continue the conversation. So that's a little trick that you could use.
So only 24,000?
I use 24,000. It doesn't mean you have to, but I find that anything beyond 24,000, you start losing context using the model. And I've used up to 200,000 tokens before, so.
So what about if you have like 200,000 line of code? Is not
Bad idea.
code,
Chunk it. Actually, part of coding, they tell you don't write code that's more than X lines, number of lines. Why? Because it's difficult to manage it, it's difficult to debug it, it's difficult to do all sorts of things with it, right? And I fell in that mistake, so that's why I know. Everything here I've learned, I taught myself. And so as part of the studying that I'm doing. And so I've done every single mistake you can imagine. And what I've learned from it is if you keep things short and sweet, smooth sailing. You're not going to have any problem. Now, let's say you inherited code that is long. You have two options. You can refactor it, make it into smaller chunks, okay? Or you can tell the model, chunk it as you read it. Don't read the whole thing at once, or don't create anything at once. Always break it down into chunks. And you can tell it, you know, do it in 200 lines, 500 lines, 300 lines, whatever the number you want. That way it makes the life of the model easier. Make sense? Cool.
So I cannot upload like PDF with 20 page.
You can. You can. But don't expect a perfect answer on the first try from the model. If you don't tell it, don't read the whole thing at once. So one thing I do is if I upload something that's, let's say, because I have development documents that are quite long. They're deliberately long because they're different sections. They're not code, they're just instructions. So I tell the model, this is a large document. It's over 6,000 lines. I don't want you to read it all at once. I want you to read it in chunks of 500 lines. And I want you to do 3 to 4 passes on the same document. Each pass, you're focusing on this, on something different. So on pass number 1, I want you to focus on this. On pass number 2, I want you to focus on this. On pass number 3, I want you to focus on this. That way I'm making his job easier, and it's not like all over the place. It's only thinking about one thing. So let's say, for example, on pass 1, I want you to verify the structure of the document is correct, that I didn't miss anything that's supposed to be there. So that's pass number 1. Pass number 2, I want you to verify that the sequence is correct, hypothetically speaking. Pass number 3, I want you to verify that the cross-dependency is correct between the different models that I'm creating or whatever it is I'm coding. So I'm telling it exactly on each pass. And you can do as many passes as you want. It doesn't have to be 3 passes. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Humans do the same thing, right? If you have a large document, you don't process the whole document all at once, right? The first document, you read the abstract, right? Read the summary, trying to understand, all right, what am I dealing with here, right? To get a big picture idea. Then you dive in deeper, okay, the introduction. And I'm thinking more from a research perspective, like how when you write an article, you have a summary, then you have introduction, and you have like the details on the summary and all that. Yeah. So you kind of break it down, each section, and then you put the whole thing holistically together.
But if I say like summarize this PDF,
Sure.
It doesn't work?
Yeah, you can. But when you're telling it that, to make it even better, is tell it, read it 3 times or 4 times or 5 times, whatever it is. Each time, I want you to summarize one aspect of the document and then put it all together. You see how that works? It makes it easier. Yeah, go ahead.
So just to make sure I understand, so when you ask for the summary, the purpose is to like kind of condense everything you did and then like have it in the context.
Correct.
As you keep going.
That is exactly it. That's exactly it. And I have specific format how I want this summary to look like. So I want the context to be there. I want relevant documents to be there. I want lessons learned to be there, because as we do, we learn something new, right? What are the pitfalls? What worked? What didn't work? Right? Whatever it is we're working on, what didn't work, right? And then where are we with the project? What finished and what still needs to be done? So all that, I keep it in that summary, so that when I copy, it's got everything it needs.
When you ask it something, how can you make sure that what's the format that it understands, like bullet points, something like that, or just text?
It'll do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But if you tell it, if you don't tell it what you want, it will just give you what makes sense to it. You see what I'm saying? So, for example, is that me? No. Oh, okay. So let's say, and it happened to me before. Okay, I'll tell it I want to write an article, summarize on this particular topic, right? It will give me an outline. I'm like, I don't want an outline. I want paragraph form, I want narrative. And then I realized like I didn't tell it how I want it, right? And so I gotta go back, redo the prompt and say, I want you to write me this article, this long, this big, this many paragraphs, and I want you to use bullet points for this kind of information. I want you to use narrative for this kind of information, and then it gives it to me the way I want. Or you can give it an example. Here's an example. Generate something like that. That would make your life easier. Make sense? Any other questions? Go ahead.
So the format like we have, can you literally write it the way that you're speaking it? Or is it better to use some kind of like a language format or a prompting style
Yeah.
format? So what do you use as those?
Right. So here's the beautiful part about this. Natural language processing, NLP. It will understand natural language as you tell it, like you're talking to someone.
Like you're saying here, like use
Yeah.
this example, this is the point I want, or do you have to
100%.
so it may not be necessary to have to use structure.
No, but you can tell it what you want. You can. Here's an example. First, start with this. Then, in the middle, put this. And then in the end, I wanted you to close with this. That's just natural language. Or you can give it an example like this.
Yeah.
Either way, it's going to work either way. Go ahead.
Going back to the conversation about the summary, if you start a new session,
Mhm.
like if I'm working on a research
Yeah.
project, and I haven't asked it to summarize, can I go back and ask it to summarize?
If you still have enough space, yes.
But other
So
than
you use Claude?
that, no, I use ChatGPT.
Good. Because Claude will give you a limit on the length of the conversation. So if you reach the limit, you're SOL. You can't. You can't get the, you're pretty much stuck.
So I should start.
So always do it. That's why I say every 24,000 tokens, ask for summary. I think Claude goes up to 190,000 tokens per conversation. That's a lot of conversation. And so every 24, 25, 30,000 tokens, create a summary and use that summary in a new chat or continue in the same chat because now it's part of the context window.
So does it matter if I like come back to it the next day and ask it to do the summary, or do I?
Any day.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime. If you forgot to do it immediately, you can go back and get it done. Yeah, absolutely.
The model gets weaker when we use beyond 24,000 tokens. Is that what you're saying? Like,
No. So let's say there's a short-term memory for these models. Okay, it's called a context window. And let's say this context window is 25,000 tokens, hypothetically speaking. A token is a character. So, 5 tokens may be a small word or something, right? And so as you interact, you start off with, your bank of tokens is 0, right? 25,000 tokens is still empty. You haven't filled it out. So as you communicate and as you work, that window gets filled based on the information that you and the model are working with, right? So now you've hit 25,000 tokens of conversation. Your entire context window is full, right? Now you went past it by 5,000 tokens. That means the first 5,000 tokens are gone. It's outside the window that it's looking through in your conversation. You follow me?
so it's like if you upload a bigger document, it won't work. Like, for example,
Yeah.
if you 100 pages document of the right
Exactly.
it won't work.
It'd be too much. You already consumed all this token and you don't have enough to continue. As a matter of fact, it won't be able to finish the entire document. They're designed to summarize and skip and shortcuts so that it doesn't bog down its system. So you have to be specific. And that's where I was telling the brother here, you need to break it down. So you stick with it. Now, 25,000 tokens is the number I use. The models have much bigger numbers. They have 128,000 tokens, they have 65,000 tokens, they have 256, they have 1,000,000 tokens, right?
Somebody's paying a paid version of ChatGPT, then he gets more tokens. Is like
Say that one more time.
somebody is using paid version of ChatGPT, ChatGPT 5, then he gets
They might get a bigger context window. Because I know for a fact the paid version, you get different features than the free version. Like free versions, you can't create projects, right? With the paid version, you can, and I highly suggest you do. Why? Because when you create a project, you just created a RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. That means anything belonging to that project, ChatGPT can go back and fetch it within that project. If it's outside that project, good luck. Okay? That's a good tip.
How do you know how many tokens you have consumed?
Right, so there are Chrome extensions. I use Chrome. I don't know if there's Mozilla or Firefox. I'm sure they have something. Or Internet Explorer. I know they don't call it that anymore. What do they call it? Edge. Yeah. They might have something like it, but I use that tool to count how many tokens I'm using.
Can you ask the
Hmm?
can you ask the model to tell it how many tokens it used?
I don't think it knows. You know, I never tried. Let us know. Try it and let us know. Any other questions?
Can it free some memory, like if if you are saying like this, you put all of the,
Yeah.
can you free some?
Yes. So it's interesting. In ChatGPT, I think it's the paid version, you have memory. You can store tidbits. Like you can tell it your name and it will store it. And then next time you talk to it, it'll call you by name. Okay? But that too has a limit. I think it has a limit to 100 entries within it. Once that, and that's different from the context window. So this one is more persistent, right? You have food allergies, you tell it, I have food allergies. So next time you ask it to create a food plan for you, it knows you have food allergy to something, right? So this is more like permanent memory that stays with it, but you can only store up to 100 pieces of memory or something to that effect. When that gets full, you have to clean it up if you want to add more to it. So it's not unlimited. The context window resets every time because it moves, and if you create a new conversation, it resets. It's like a working memory. You know,
Is it the 200, there is 200,
Yeah.
is it bigger?
so different models have different sizes, different models. So in your computer, you have RAM and you have hard drive, right? Think of the context window as your RAM, right? It's within this session, it works, and then it moves on. But it's non-persistent. You're going to lose it. The hard drive is more like the memory outside the brother. This is where you can store 100 pieces of information, and it will remember them. Now, I've done it before, where you can tell ChatGPT, you know, it's memory cleanup time, and it's going to go back, merge memories that are the same. So instead of occupying 2, it only occupies 1. Or if you're working on a project that has multiple entries, it will create a short summary of all these entries into 1. So that way, instead of having 4 pieces of memory, you only have 1. But you have to be proactive about that. You have to go back and tell it, you know, for this particular project, I need you to clean up the memory. And I told it what cleanup means. It won't know what cleanup means. Cleanup to it means go back and delete everything, but that's not. So you go tell it, you know, condense like memory or summarize memories for one particular project, and it will do what it will know what to do. Any other questions? This is good. Keep going. I mean, I'm happy to answer any question.
Which model do you suggest? Like, which one do you use, Gemini or?
You can use whatever you want. Now, I've used Claude and OpenAI, so Anthropic and OpenAI. Gemini, I haven't used too much. Copilot I've used, not the same. I didn't personally, and I used the commercial version, not the version you get in Enterprise. So I heard the Enterprise version is much, much better. I haven't used it. But everything I need, I can get through DeepSeek, Anthropic, and OpenAI. DeepSeek is the cheapest. So if you're doing a lot of AI work, it's the cheapest. But if you're doing hardcore coding, extremely difficult task, Claude, hands down, is the model to go to.
Copilot, how's Copilot, I mean, with the Microsoft thing, how's it compared to some of the other stuff?
I can only tell you based on my experience, and I haven't used it much, to tell you the truth. As far as generative ability, it's pretty good. I haven't used it for coding. I only used it for ideation and document generation. That's all I used it for. And Gemini is the same thing. Now, Gemini is good if you work in Google Workspace because it's embedded in it, right? You don't have to go outside. And supposedly, Gemini 3 Pro now, I think they came out with, is better than the 2.5. Haven't tested it yet, but you can definitely use that. And it's not one shoe size fits all sort of thing. It all depends on the task that you want to do, right? Ideation, I'd say go OpenAI 100% all the time because Claude will overcomplicate the heck out of it because that's the way it's programmed. It's programmed to be very analytical, right? But if you want to get down to the weeds, you want to execute, you want to get things done, like coding, like generating a day-by-day plan, Claude, 100%, right? DeepSeek, if you have a chatbot, if you have something quick you want to do, something cheap, you don't want to use too many API calls, then DeepSeek would be the way to go. That's a very good question. Yes. So generative AI comes in different flavors. One flavor is text, which ChatGPT, for example. Another flavor is image diffusion and video diffusion. So it can make images and it can make videos. Another one is music. So you can do music, you can do pictures, you can do videos, and you can do text. You can generate all of them. And I've done all of them. Yeah. A lot of people use them to do marketing campaigns, you know, ads, video ads, song for their ad or whatever the case may be, and they post it online. So yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. Okay. So you were talking about this. Here's some of the things you should know about ChatGPT from OpenAI. This is the most versatile tool. You can use it for everyday tasks. It's great for writing, brainstorming. I would underline brainstorming a lot, and problem solving. Claude from Anthropic, that's another good one. This is excellent for long documents, nuanced writing, coding. I use it for coding a lot. And it's known for being helpful and safe. Gemini is another one. This one integrates in Google Workspace. And then Microsoft Copilot. Now, one of my favorite tools to use is Notebook LM. That's from Google. So you're going to like that one. So this is a new product that Google came out with. And I think, based on what I understand, it's like a RAG on steroids, where you upload all the documents, and then you can start asking it questions about these documents, right? And so let's say you're a lawyer, hypothetically speaking, and you upload all these previous cases that relate to the case that you're working on, right? You can start asking it, you know, who were the whatchamacallit? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, what was the case about? What was the ruling? What was the argument that was made? What was the argument based on? Who was part of the panel? What are they called? The jury. Thank you. Who were part of the jury? What's the history on these jury? Do I need to bring them back, or do I need to change them? Right. So these are all things you can do for research, which I use. I upload all the documents or the articles that I need for my research, right? And then I start asking questions. Which of the publishers spoke about this point? Which article includes support for this argument that I'm trying to make? You see how that works?
Why is that different than the others then? Or why is Notebook LM different than the others?
Because it's a much larger scale. And you can put so many documents into it, and it's going to go back and look at. So this uses a slightly different technique.
How safe is this to,
I'm sorry?
how safe is this to upload these documents?
In what do you mean by safe?
You just mentioned about the lawyer uploading all his case documents and such confidentiality, and you have all
Yeah.
this thing. So is it safe to upload these documents in these AI models, or how do
If you're hosting it locally, yes. If you're hosting it on the cloud, may not be. Yes.
So I have come with the gentleman who asked about what's
Yeah, the difference?
the difference
Yeah.
between Notebook LM is because I've used it for projects for my kids with their classes. You can tell it to use only documents you uploaded. So it's not the whole internet.
Correct.
I want these documents, I want this question answered based on this.
Correct.
documents only. So that's kind of differentiate. Or you can say those documents and the whole internet as well.
Yeah. And so, slightly a little bit more technical. It's different types of memory. So the one with ChatGPT is just a factoid. The user's name is AB. It's just a factoid, right? It's stored as a sentence. In this particular environment, it's stored as a vector database, which uses a slightly more complicated method to go to fetch it using on semantic words and relationships, and it goes and finds it and brings back all the information that relates to that word. So it's more active memory search. That's how it finds the information you're looking for. So as soon as you upload that, it breaks it up, it embeds it in the memory into like numbers and characters, and that's how it searches based on one word that you say, for example. So it's a more higher level of memory.
Would it be able to, I guess to some extent, take even like old handwritten type documents and be able to
Yes. Yes.
And YouTube videos.
And videos.
And YouTube videos.
So audio, video, handwritten notes, PDFs, Word documents, anything. because it converts it all back to text. Grammarly is a good one. I'm sure you've heard of them, seen the ads. So Grammarly is very good when you write a lot. It helps you with your grammar, it helps you with your sentence structure, it helps you with the logical flow. And so students find it extremely helpful. Perplexity also is one of my favorite. Perplexity goes out and find articles for you. So one of the biggest problems with generative models, the hallucination, as we said, and it can easily hallucinate sources, right? It will come back, it looks perfect. You know, it'll tell you the name of the author, it's going to tell you the name of the article, it's going to tell you the journal, the year, the page, everything, and it's all a lie. None of it is true.
Is that like people use it for research?
So you use Perplexity, yeah.
Using that like in
Yeah.
different sources.
So you use, yes, you use Perplexity for your resources, or you do what I do and you challenge the model and say enough with the BS and go find me something that's true. And it will do that from the search.
No, how could you tell that?
Because you can go check. You can take the reference and go check, does it exist? And if it doesn't, it's hallucination.
So how can we avoid the detection that this written by AI or something? So if we send like our research to the journal or something like that.
You don't need to. Everybody knows you're using AI. I'm using AI. It's like using calculators. When they first came out, your teacher was like, don't use a calculator, use your brain, right? And then after that, it's like everybody uses calculator. It's on your phone. Blah, 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 I'm done. The only problem is,
avoid this similarities.
yeah, so the only problem is when you have a 9-year-old writing an article level document and submitting it to their teacher like their work.
Yeah,
That's a problem, right? You can't write the sentence structure, the thinking, all that. Obviously,
the idea,
it makes no sense.
Yeah, some people they have the ability to, distinguish between the human writing and
Yes.
writing.
So AI writing is technical writing. So like how we write articles for publication when we're submitting it for journals, right? And so for us, it's no big deal because it's writing in the same voice that we are writing in, right? But you have to remember, the AI is generating a draft. You're not taking the draft and submitting it as is. That would be plagiarism,
Yeah.
okay?
No,
What you're doing is you're taking that, you're reading it. Does this sound like what you want to say? Is this how you would say it? If not, you change it.
Or ask GPT like rewrite it like me.
Don't say that.
No?
Yes, you can. Actually, you can. You can tell it, I want you to write it in this voice, for this level, for this, be very specific, and it will do it for you. You know, like,
And make some mistakes so they.
yeah, like a 9-year-old telling it, write me this essay as a 9-year-old would. You didn't hear from me. But yes, as a matter of fact, I'm about to give classes for high school students on how to ethically use AI. It's an after-school program, exactly to avoid that sort of thing. How not to use AI and how to use AI for your benefit. So yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. Some creative work, if you'd like to do some creative work, Canva Magic Studio is another good one. So you can take a picture of this slide. That's a pretty good slide for reference.
Are you going to share the slides with us?
Sure. Yeah. Canva Magic Studio, you can generate images, edit photos. You could use some text commands and all that good stuff. Copy AI is another good one for marketing copy, social media posts, and blog articles. Notion is good for summarizing notes, generate action items. Think of it like a project management sort of thing. Otter AI is good for recording meetings that you have on Zoom or on Meets or on Teams. Duolingo is a good one. If you like role-playing in a new language, you can use Duolingo Max. And then Conmigo, that's from Khan Academy, is a good for AI tutoring.
So let's back to the notebook, and if you want to have like a better result, so is it the technique that we use for ChatGPT in terms of just specify our questions and
Yes.
everything, we would
Any sort of generative model,
uh-huh.
any sort of generative model, the more detailed, the more specific you are,
Yeah.
the better results you get.
Perfect.
Any model, doesn't matter. Right. So what are some of the common mistakes you want to avoid? And we kind of touched on all of these in some shape or form. Number one, being too vague. Don't be too vague. Be specific. Because if you're too vague, you're going to get a vague answer. You're not going to get a specific answer. Make sure you always provide context. The who, the what, the why, and sometimes the how, depending on what you want to come out. The audience, the expecting mind reading what you're about to generate. Who's going to be reading your stuff? If it's going to be your PhD advisor, you want to sound a certain way, or if it's going to be a layman audience who are not technical, you want it to sound a different way. And giving up too soon. I can't tell you enough. It takes hours to learn how to get it right. Just like riding a bicycle. You don't ride a bicycle right the first time as soon as you sit on it and you're going to run, you're an expert at it, right? You need to practice. The more you practice, the better you get. The more iterations you go through, the better you get. Okay? And don't trust everything you get out of it. Make sure you verify, particularly if it's an argument you're trying to support, if it's a claim you're trying to make, or any sort of reference that you're looking for. It's about, data, facts, and so on. And then over-reliance. What happens when you use it too much in a certain way, your brain shuts down and you're no longer able to generate the thought yourself, okay? So make sure you set limits on how you want to interact with AI. Don't let AI substitute your brain. Make AI augment your brain, make you better, make you do more things, do it differently, but doesn't substitute. Just like calculators don't substitute your brain to do math, don't let AI substitute your brain. Your critical thinking, in other words. And then, to the point you made, don't ignore privacy. Don't put out your social on there. Don't, put your address. You can put your email, it's okay, because you can always change it. But your name is fine, email is fine. Don't put, legal documents or anything like that in the public models. If you have it local on your own machine, you're fine, because no one can access it unless you're hacked. But make sure to be cognizant of your privacy when you're working online.
So what do you mean by your own machine? So you would have to...
You can create your own large language model on your own machine. Yeah, absolutely. And it's 100% private. It's not online. Is it going to be as strong as the models you have online? No, because it requires a lot of hardware.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of hardware. I run a 70 billion parameters model on my machine at 4 bits, and it's okay. I wouldn't use it for anything that I'm doing heavy lifting on. Early on, I did it just to learn how to do it. And it's quite interesting. You get different results.
Is there a way you want to delete anything, feed it in? So if there's like a
Sure.
kind of
Absolutely.
private stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you can delete it
Yes.
after you feed it?
Mm-hmm. You can delete the actual chat thread itself. You can go in memory and delete it, or there's a toggle in the settings for privacy where you tell it, don't share any of the information I'm working here with the mothership, in other words, their server. I don't want the model to be trained on it.
Guarantee they,
Let me put it this way, it's guaranteed until you fall in trouble. And then law gets involved and things get subpoenaed and all hell breaks loose. So there you have it.
And this is lead me to another question, how the big companies, they save their own information.
Yeah.
They create like a own machine, as you mentioned,
For automation,
for any, information that they want to share, with anyone.
so you tell them if you want your information to be shared with them or not. You control that. And so if you mistakenly didn't turn it off, then everything you have is there, right? But The good news is whatever you generate that's new is yours. It's not theirs. They have no claim on it whatsoever. Right? So if you invented the next slice of bread, it's yours. They cannot claim anything on it. Make sense?
For example, you mentioned the example of asking for mortgage and salary negotiation that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
When somebody asking those questions, you are sharing personal details, right? So you're talking about, I'm going to XYZ company, I'm asking this much endowment. So these
No, no, no. You don't do that. You tell it, you're using it as a hypothetical example. If someone were to buy a house worth this much, and this person made this much, how much can I afford, hypothetically speaking? Can I afford this house? You're not mentioning names, you're not mentioning social, you're not mentioning where you're working, you're not mentioning any of that. It's like using an online calculator. You're just plugging in numbers, right? The only difference is you can play what-if scenarios much easier and much better on the ChatGPT. And you want to get really smart about this, you can tell ChatGPT to create an Excel sheet that you can use on your computer to plug in all the numbers you need. It basically creates a calculator for you. But it won't, you can't play the what-if scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Nowadays we have the Excel. It's powered with AI.
Yeah, Copilot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you could program like formulas,
Yep.
stuff like that, use it
Yep.
without macros, right?
Sure. Well, you can both. You can do macros using Visual Basic, or you can ask it to get formulas for you. I do that all the time. And I challenge it a lot. I'll say, you know, I have this sheet with this column, I want to grab this, and then I want to couple it with this, and then I want to filter it based on this, and blah, 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 blah. And it will give me like a formula that I can just copy and paste.
Right.
Yeah, it may not be perfect the first time, and you have to tweak it, but it will do that. And I've used that before. I've used AI for everything imaginable.
I mean, will
That is halal.
yeah. Will it give you a code in Visual Basic also?
It can, yeah, absolutely, 100%. If you ask it to. Absolutely. Yeah. I would use Claude for that.
Claude.
Yeah, I would use Claude for that. Right. More, things, limitations we need to be aware of. Hallucination. We mentioned this several times, right? It will lie to your face and make it look like it's believable. Make sure you double check and triple check. The AI doesn't understand what you're doing. It only responds based on patterns. And so if you think it understands you, it doesn't. It doesn't know things. It just has things stored. It's based on statistics and patterns. And it has no emotions. It can be empathetic. And I've been there. I tell you, it knows me better than my wife. And it will detect certain patterns in your, it's not speech, but in your text. And it can tell if you're stressed, it can tell if you're happy, it can tell whatever the case may be. It's all based on statistics and patterns. And so again, it's so easy to fall into the trap that you're working with a human on the other side, like you're chatting with someone else, because it's very, very good at it. But just keep in mind, you're talking to a machine. Okay? I've actually heard stories people get emotionally attached and then things go really, really bad. It does happen.
people are using depression. They are asking questions and saying their personal details with AI.
It could, yeah. Like, go kill yourself, you're not worth living, or something to that effect. And then knowledge cutoff. It only trained up to a certain point. Anything beyond that, if it doesn't have the capability to go and fetch it online, it will not know. And then it doesn't understand personal context unless you tell it. It doesn't know you're married with 3 kids. It doesn't know that you're divorced. It doesn't know that you have 2 wives. But it doesn't know any of that, right? Or maybe 4, who knows? And also, it has potential bias based on the training that it was trained on.
To that point, when you say no personal context, how do you place it in its proper context? Like, for instance.
You tell it.
Okay.
You just tell it. Now, you tell it what you're comfortable sharing,
Okay.
right? I mean, I don't mind telling it I'm married with 3 kids and I only eat halal food. And I mean, this is all public knowledge. I mean, it's nothing secret.
But I guess what I meant, like, you're a researcher,
Mm-hmm.
and you said everybody knows that everybody else is using AI, but you wanna
Mhm.
with the work that you do,
Mhm.
and you know you put a lot of thought and a lot of expertise into
Yep.
it, versus someone who may just generate a research paper. using
Well,
AI.
you're making an assumption that the AI is going to come up with the data, is going to come up with the actual research. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm the one who's conducting the research. I am the one who designed the experiment. I am the one who ran the experiment. I am the one that collected the data. I am the one that interpreted the data. I'm just telling him, summarize this for me. That's all I'm doing, right? And so, and even then, I have to go back and rewrite it to make sure it sounds like me. But it took the heavy lifting from me. Instead of me spending 3 months sitting down trying to write and type, right? I give it all that information. I'll give it, here's the data, here's the experiment, here's the design, here's the method, here's the result, here's the interpretation. Let's write it down for me. Write the abstract for me. 30 seconds. I got a 300-word abstract that's beautiful. The abstract is not made up. It's based on the work that I created, right? It's like an administrative assistant that you dictate and it writes. Is that unethical? No, right? It's the same idea. You have an assistant, happens to be an AI, that will do the heavy lifting for you, right? It didn't create anything from scratch. Now, when it comes good for it to create something from scratch is if you're doing like a newsletter based on information on the internet. You know, how does AI affect small businesses, competition or to be competitive with enterprise size? You know, that's just general knowledge. Like, it doesn't matter. Just go generate it, end of story. Like, you don't have to be in the text because this is more of a marketing thing. Does that make sense? Okay, so be responsible when you're using AI. Protect your privacy. Verify the information it gives you, right? And be transparent when you're using the AI. Let them know that you're using AI. As a matter of fact, when you're publishing papers nowadays, it will ask you how much AI did you use in your production. So that's something. Yeah, they will ask you. But it's not frowned upon. They just need to know how much you... I've actually wrote a book and Amazon asked me, how much AI did you use in writing this? So they ask all the time.
But how can we answer this question? So how do we know that we use, like, if we use it for most of our work,
Yeah.
we can see that.
Yeah, you tell them, I used AI to generate the abstract, to generate the introduction,
But sometimes
to
we-
summarize this. You just tell them exactly what you did.
Sometimes we put the text
Mhm.
and we ask ChatGPT to proofread or
You can, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
so we can see that's
Yeah, editing, yeah.
editing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, they wouldn't fire him. He works at the University of Michigan.
No, why would they? They're still backwards, that's why. He works at UFM, that's right. No, editing, come on. I can give it to you and ask you to edit it for me, right? Is that cheating? They do that in publication all the time. All the time. You write it, you give it to your advisor, they read
have
it.
this editing.
Yeah, they have editors that do that. They have jobs for editors to do that. I can't afford an editor. I have AI.
It's not acceptable. Believe me.
I mean, I don't see why not.
They told
It's a
us
tool. Can someone tell you don't use your calculator?
Yeah, they send us email. We are not allowed.
I don't know.
So now in NIH, for example,
Yeah.
they said if we figure out that any of the accepted grants, we already fund the money,
Yeah.
we would redirect them. Like
If what?
if they figure out ChatGPT was used to generate the text.
That's their
I think
problem.
The text for the whole grant.
No, that's their problem. I don't see why. I mean, that's up to them. I'm not going to mention anything. Respect copyrights. Don't copy someone else's work and present it as your own. And consider the sources that you're getting the information from. So these are all things you want to make sure that you keep an eye out for.
Can I give like one?
Sure.
For the resources, like it is like a big problem. Like they give you like text. When they give you the resource, it is like when you go to the resource, there is no paper like this.
Yeah, that's the hallucination part. That's exactly it. So you got to make sure you verify if you're trying to support a piece of data or claim or something to that effect. 100% you need to verify it. Now, when you're exercising this stuff, here are some practical guides how to get started. First thing is pick one tool. Don't pick all of them. Try to use them all at the same time. Start small. A task that doesn't carry too much risk. to automate it or to use the AI for it on a consistent basis. And then build a library of prompts that you know work, that give you the results that you're looking for whatever purpose that it's used for. And then refine them and reiterate to make them better. And then anything you get out of it, make sure you verify it. And then at that point, you can explore new tools that you can use. And because there's so many different types of AI in generative models, you can use them for different purpose. And then real success stories. You can do it as a job seeker, you're a busy parent, need extra help, you're an aspiring author. I've used ChatGPT to create outline for my book to help me focus on what I need to write next. Lifelong learner, guilty. The non-native speakers learn how to speak a different language. And then the budgeter, people who like to do finance. Takeaways, be specific. Provide context. Use examples. Iterate. Think step by step. Verify everything and start simple. More resources. We've got, if you want free courses, there's Deep Learning AI. There's Google Cloud Skill Boost and Microsoft Learn. Podcast, there's Hard Fork, AI Breakdown, Marketing AI Show. For newsletters to generate them, we've got Rundown AI, you have TLDR AI, and Ben's Byte, and then you've got Reddit, Discord, and OpenAI Developer Forum. So what are you going to do this week, or today actually? Sign up. If you don't have a ChatGPT or some sort of LLM, do that now. Try prompting, reiterate, and then next week, find a problem to solve using AI, a real problem for you, for your business, for your school, whatever the case may be, or for your child. Practice chain of thought. And then next month, explore other specialized type of models to use and build your library. Thank you very much. If you want to connect on LinkedIn, that's the left QR code. And then the right QR code, if you have a crazy idea you want to share with me, by all means, scan that, and I'm happy to explore that crazy idea.
Thank you so much.
And that's it.
And welcome to Medina Lab. And thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Amazing presentation.
Thank you for hosting me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
If you're interested to learn more on AI, building your own startup, or using these tools, please come as a member of Medina Lab, themedinalab.com. If you want to join us, please. And we have a lot of workshops next month, and you are welcome to attend, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Are we going to share slides or?
Yeah, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
The resource slides, I'll share them with you. Inshallah. Do I end the stream, Ali? Do I end the stream?